What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got Andor, episodes 4, 5, and 6, and I guess we're all standing up sewing our shirts. We got Thunderbolts to talk about. Our spoiler-free review is up on YouTube, so go check it out if you haven't. But we're going to talk spoilers tonight. We got a lot to talk about with that, too. But before we get into all of that...
Spoiler warning, warning, warning.
Danger, Will Robinson. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I gotta tell you, I am fan freaking tastic, despite that hiccup.
Literal and figuratively?
We got to see Andor earlier in the week. Well, I sandwiched it around that movie, two before, one after, and we got to see the Thunderbolts / since we're doing spoilers, new Avengers movie. So can't wait to talk about that. Doug, how are you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. Guys, we got the team back together.
Yeah, we're all here. It's been like 2 weeks.
It's been a while since all three of us have been on the screen together. I guess that means that Keith is getting double paid.
Yeah.
That capitalist monster Keith.
Awesome.
But no, I am outstanding, Dave. I am glad that we're here. I am ready to talk some amazing Star Wars stuff. Tomorrow is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Looking forward to that.
Especially because we get Tales of the Underworld.
Yes, I am looking forward to that. You guys know how much I love that animation style. It's beautiful. And those little shorts that they do where they did the Tales of the Empire and Tales or is it Tales of the Jedi and
Tales of the
Empire? Is it
Empire.
Tales of the Sith?
No,
or Tales of the Empire?
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't remember now because Tales of the Empire didn't like that one as much. It was fine, but love Tales of the Jedi. Really looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be good. And obviously have to celebrate with a little bit of blue milk. But Keith, sir, how are you?
You know what? I'm tremendous. Like Dave said, we got Andor this week. We got Thunderbolts on Thursday night. We get Tales of the Underworld tomorrow. We got The Last of Us tomorrow. We got 3 more episodes of Andor next Tuesday. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better time to be. Are you talking to me, bud? Oh, no, he's not talking to me. Okay. But Cajun the Red Leo is out in the chat on Twitch. What is up, sir? Happy that you joined us tonight. I don't know if you've seen Andor and the Thunderbolts. I hope you have, because we are going to be talking spoilers. Spoilerific, as they say. I don't think anyone really says that. But,
You do.
I did tonight, yes. But what should we talk first, gentlemen? Should we talk a little Andor, or should we talk Thunderbolts?
Down for some Andor.
I think we should start with Andor.
Then let's do it. We got another tremendous 3 episodes this week. We got Ever Been to Gorman? I Have Friends Everywhere, and What a Festive Evening.
What a festive evening indeed.
That kept me up for many hours after watching that. But starts out, we are now 3 years before the Battle of Yavin. Bix is still having nightmares about Gorst, I do believe his name is, who tortured her. Mm-hmm. And she and Cassian are holed up on Coruscant in one of Luthen's safe houses.
Can I just say, once again, I know that we said this last time that we streamed this show, but one of the things that I love that they're doing is they're showing real human traits, For a galaxy far, far away, I love the fact that not everybody is just a, superhero that's able to get through everything. These are people that have been through a war. This is a woman who's been tortured, and I love the fact that it's been a year and she's still it's been 2 years actually since that all happened, and we're still seeing her struggle with it. And, I love that. I love that they're showing that. It's a great little character growth moment.
That's what sets the show apart. It's so grounded like that.
Yeah.
they spend time showing you stuff like that. They don't just like gloss over it. You know, it's kind of like they did in the Bad Batch with Crosshairs, losing his crosshairedness or whatever.
Yes.
You know,
Well
exactly.
Thank
said, sir.
Thank you.
Crosshairedness.
But they spend time developing that, and that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's why I think it's the best Star Wars show we've seen, is because they make it relatable.
And we find out in this scene too that Cassian killed an Imperial who was just a kid, mainly because he saw Bix's face and he was protecting her. We're starting to see him transitioning into that person we see at the beginning of Rogue One, who
A little more ruthless. Definitely taking the mission above all else. And if there's collateral damage, there's collateral damage.
yeah, mission supersedes everything, and they're slowly doing it. They're not all of a sudden him turning it on. And it's good to see. And then we go to Gorman, and we see Cyril. He's on a call with his mother. And at first, it seems like he's kind of very anti-Empire-y, and I'm like, I'm not buying this for a second.
Right. No, it did not sound like him at all. I'm like, okay, this is an act. And I'm sorry, but he's not that good of an actor. But I love that his mother is falling for that anti-Gorman propaganda. And I mean, that just proves that what the Empire was planning, it's working. We just heard about this in the previous couple of episodes that, Krennic wanted to do this, use these people to talk about how the Gorman people are no different than like spiders or something, and we'll see how important that is to their culture. But it's apparently working on the core worlds, the citizens of everyone outside of Gorman. They're telling them, oh yeah, the Gormans, don't even worry about them. They're a bunch of they're upstarts. They deserved for Tarkin to land on them.
I do like the fact, I thought for sure the Gorman massacre was going to be basically the one that we read in Legends, where Tarkin landed, and we find out this episode that's already happened.
Oh yeah,
and they have a monument in a town square to commemorate it. They're not supposed to have any shadow fall on it, and obviously, absolutely, didn't mean to say that, but absolutely, they are purposely building that armory so that the shadow falls on it, just to push those rebels, because we know Deidre has said, propaganda is only going to go so far. We need rebels who will do the wrong thing when we need them to. And she knows every little bit like that, oh yeah, we promised we would never build anything that shadow falls on this monument. So what do? They build an armory that they're not supposed to with a shadow falling on the monument. It's nice that we see the Empire as being clever, as being intelligent, doing things that they know are, and not just pure evil. It really helps us understand, which I still don't understand how anyone could be that intelligent and want to be a part of the Empire unless, they're just power mad. But we do see them making smart moves.
A good example, if you think about, and I know that Obi-Wan wasn't the greatest show, but it did show other people, hanging out in the galaxy. We got to see how different people, react to what's going on. And he hitches a ride with a dude who is very pro-Empire. He's got the little bumper sticker on the back of his truck, and he thanks the guards, like, thanks for doing a great job of keeping those, pesky traitors out. And he swallows all of this stuff, hook, line, and sinker, like, yes, absolutely. They are, and everybody that is against the Empire, they're the enemy. You're either with us or you're the enemy.
Thanks, W.
I mean, it's literally what's happening.
Oh, and Cajun, the Red Leo, did say, I'm going to have to give Andor another try. Definitely do. It is honestly the best. It's the best written Star Wars show we've ever got. And it just really shows the common folk in a galaxy far, far away and what they went through with a fascist regime. And it's just so well done. It's amazing.
And the story, it's like with Cyril, it's like a double spy story where he's got him thinking, yeah, maybe he isn't a good actor, but he's got both sides. He's got one side fooled. He's a double agent. He's feeding information, and they're believing.
And we're going to find out, a little bit more about why he's able to fool these people so well. They're the Gorman Front. I mean, when Saw mentioned them, I thought, like, when he was mentioning all these different, rebel factions, I'm thinking they're kind of all equal in their abilities, what they're doing, their capabilities. We know that Saw has a whole bunch of ships, and he's been, using a lot of more angry, hate-filled. Like he's going on the attack constantly, but not all of the rebel cells are like that. As we saw in the previous episode, Andor trying to fight with Maya's group, and that they do not have their shit together at all. They've got a lot of infighting, and now we find at the Gorman Front, they're really more of protesters. Like they've got grand ideas, but they're not really doing anything, and they haven't done anything yet.
Well, and a lot of what the Empire is doing to push them to become rebels and not just protesters is working. I mean, they've got their propaganda for the common folk working, and they've got the little things they're doing to push the Gormans into being rebels working great. And of course, they didn't try to make it seem like Cyril was, really going against the Empire for long. He eventually contacts Deidre really quickly and explains, hey, these guys are, the Gorman Front. I'm in there. They want to talk to me. They do all this stuff. And she's still kind of like, well, we'll find out.
Right.
I hope you're right. But she doesn't trust him because he's new at all of this.
I mean, we remember what he did on Ferrix. Like, he's not, his... I want to say that his heart is in the right place. It's not. But as far as the Empire is concerned, his heart's in the right place. But he is just not that competent of a spy. I mean, he's getting there. He's definitely gotten better. But also, Keith, we have got to get you a George Lucas button that says it's like poetry. It rhymes every time one of these moments come up. Because one thing that I pulled out of these episodes, and I don't know if you guys noticed this as well, but did you notice that Dedra is becoming a little bit more like Luthen as far as like her thought process, her plan to create a cell of rebels, that are going to basically cause an incident that will allow the Empire to declare war, which the United States totally never did. But we hear Luthen, if you remember in the first season, he mentions that he's telling Mon Mothma, good, yeah, we want them to put more rules down. We want them to go harder on people. And she's like, why would you want that? And he goes, because that's going to make more people rise up. That's what we want to get out of this. The only reason people are going to rebel is if there's something to rebel against. And the Empire is kind of doing the reverse of that. The only way that we can do a genocide is if they give us a reason to do it.
Yep. There's very big, there's parallels between both sides of this. Yes. And then we see, Cyril attends a meeting with the, Gorman Front, and he kind of meets the head of them, I guess, but he's kind of like a business leader down in Gorman, and
it seems like this is
not
a
a soldier,
mix of...
not a rebel.
Yeah, it almost seems like within the Gorman Front, they've got their own individual cells. Like some people that are like, we want to send a strongly worded letter. A couple of people that are like, well, we make signs and we march. And then some other people that are like, yeah, we want to get guns and just shoot them all. So they've got different ideas even among their own, little group.
Yeah, and we find out that they think they're building a weapons facility, which once again, I'm sure that information was leaked to them to get them riled up. Yeah. And then Cyril gives them information confirming that's exactly what's going on. And, he makes sure, I laugh. One of my favorite scenes, one of the best things, and I took notes on it so I would remember exactly what he said. And this is in the second episode, but when he goes back and he's meeting with Deidre and her boss in that scene, and he says, he goes, they are inexperienced but are very eager. And he pauses and he goes, how often those attributes align? Talking about Cyril. And he kind of takes it like a compliment, like, oh, he like doesn't get it. I was like, man, I had to watch that scene twice because I'm like, that is what fantastic writing does. I mean, he is so well written and well acted by the guy doing it, both of them, that goes off and it looks like he's taking it as a compliment when it's kind of, I don't want to say, it's kind of meant, like a put down on him a little bit, like.
Oh yeah, like, oh, he's a good little puppy, pat pat, good job.
Yeah, I love the dialogue on this show. It's some of the best dialogue. I think I said that the last time it was on, season 1. It's just so subliminal. Everything they're saying if you read between the lines, you can tell what they're saying, and they're still saying it like on the surface as well, just not like in your face. I think that takes a real talent to write like that. I really love it when you have to pay attention to each word.
Well, Dave, I heard what Tony Gilroy did was he actually contacted George Lucas, and he said, what do you think the people would say in this moment? George, scripted it out, and Tony sent this over to his storyboarders and said, do everything but this.
Yeah, do the opposite of this.
Who wrote this? Don't ask.
You mustn't go. Wait a minute. That's so.
Then we see, I think it's Wilmon with Saw Gerrera. And he's teaching him how to build like those Rhydonium, like.
It's like a pump. It's meant to like steal it from the line.
Yeah.
But it's like an advanced way of like siphoning fuel out of a car or something. So
That was the word I was looking for. Siphon. Yeah, it's like a siphon machine.
Yeah. But it's very, very technologically advanced. It requires careful training. At one point, Wilmon says to the guy that he's teaching, like, "And we're dead."
Yeah. You don't remove that one. This is the 10th sequence. You did the 7th.
Right, and I love how, like, depending on what world they're on and what pipeline they have to be attaching this to, there's a whole different sequence, which tells me, I don't know if this happened pre-Empire, if the Republic was that, disorganized, or if the Empire did all this, but you would think the Empire would want more uniformity. And it is just a little odd to me when I heard that. I'm like, oh, so each world has their own sort of, way of transporting the Rhydonium, and that, in order to siphon it out, you have to have some sort of different sequence. That's okay.
And we all know you can only go a certain speed when you're transporting Rhydonium. It will heat up and explode.
God, I wish there was some sort of, YouTube channel with a bunch of nerds that actually broke down an episode of The Mandalorian that talked about that happening.
I think there is one that did that. And
really?
If you look at our chat, on Twitch, you'll see the link right there. Man, that was wild. I had forgotten about that episode with the wonderful Bill Burr. Can't go wrong with that.
Yes.
But then we find
Cajun said in the chat, okay, now that you say that, I know what to expect. You're going to expect an amazing series, dude. You got to give this another try. You got to check it out.
We would not steer you wrong. If all three of us agree, that's usually a really good sign that it is a good show. Then at the end of this episode, Luthen decides to send Cassian the Gorman. And then at the end, we see Bix, like, I didn't know what it was at first, but she's taking drugs to kind of not dream, kind of numb the pain of what she's going through. And I was like, oh, man, Is
that what Mon Mothma... Did Mon Mothma get those for her? Because Mon Mothma had them in the first 3. I said, one to go to sleep, and 2 was for something else, but don't ever take 10.
Yeah.
Right? Because
I don't think Mon Mothma got them for her. But she might have, because they are on.
I think they're probably just a common enough drug, And my guess, I was sitting there thinking, because I tried looking up to see what they were called, and they don't have a name yet, but they've got to, please. Somebody whoever's working on Andor, or anybody in the Star Wars universe,
here we go.
Please give them an on-the-nose name, like how essentially cigarettes are death sticks. You got to call them like I don't know, diarrhea drops, or brain fuck up liquid. Something brain like just drops. Like it literally says what terrible thing it's gonna do to you, and you're like, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Blue dream death.
Coma liquid.
I like that one. Yes. You gonna take some
Can I
coma
get some more
liquid
coma
tonight?
liquid?
Thinking about it.
Yeah, just one drop. Can't hurt anything.
A little drop. Put me into a tiny bit of a coma. What
Don't
is
take
with
10.
Yeah, don't take that.
Right. Stop short.
But again, adding to the realism, because unfortunately, not everybody can deal with the type of trauma that she's been put through. And she obviously has mentioned multiple times she keeps seeing what's his name? Dr. Gorsick?
Gorst.
Dr. Gorst. She keeps seeing him. She keeps envisioning him. There's been multiple times where she's sleepwalking with her blaster as if she's going to shoot him. And, good thing Cassian has been there most of the time to be like, hey, Bix, what are you doing? Let's go back to sleep. And she said, I can't sleep. I haven't slept in years. It's like, so, she's probably desperate and thinking, I need some coma drops there. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Then we
And
started.
we find out later something else happened. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for the foreshadowing, Dave. We then we jump into episode 5, which starts out, the ISB kind of shows up at Cyril's office and all a big ruse to kind of gain the Gorman rebels' trust, and it works. He's slowly winning them over, and then he goes back to Coruscant for a very
Slightly better acting in his part this time.
for a rather passionate reunion with. Oh, I'm sorry, passionless reunion with Deidre. I misspoke there. I made sure I put that in all capitals. I don't.
Hey, to them, that is passion.
I was.
That's.
But that's the thing. They stick to.
Yes,
it.
mommy.
They write those characters so well, and you can tell it works for them. But I was just like, wow, what a weird, odd relationship they're in. But good for them.
Did you see the interview that they had? I think it was by Variety, and it was posted on YouTube. But it was an interview with the actor that plays Cyril and the actress that plays Dedra, and they were essentially saying, yeah, when it came to that scene, we knew that we had to give the people what they wanted, and it had to look as creepy and off-putting as possible. And he said, so we kept trying to practice like different ways where we are at a certain distance from each other. We didn't want to be too close, and it had to be very stiff and formal looking. And he said, because this is not normal human romance. This is these two very weird people being weird and creepy with each other. I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
It's funny you say that. I don't remember if we mentioned it last week when we talked about the first 3 episodes, but did you know the scene where his mother comes over for dinner and he's laying on the bed looking all depressed wasn't in the script? He ad-libbed.
No. Really?
And
I
they
didn't know
said
that.
it worked so well they kept it in. And I was like, you're
that's
right.
his character so much though. That fits. Oh, that's great. That was good.
Then we find out Luthen has some issues of his own. Davo, whose son married Mon Mothma's daughter, they find a piece that is a fake in their gallery, or I don't know what to call it, where his showroom, where he has all his pieces, and they're going to start getting every piece checked out to see for authenticity. And obviously the piece that was fake wasn't Luthen's, but he has a lot of pieces there, and one of them has a listening device. So they have to go and get that listening device out, which, they're kind of like, at first I was like, okay, I thought for sure they were going to get caught using it or something. It was going to cause issues for them down the road, but, they just have to go and figure out a time to getting out. Lucky for them that Davo's having a party here in next episode. We'll get into that, but, then Luthen goes to visit Bix. Kind of sees that she's on, what she's doing. He came over and he was saying, oh, I had a mission for you, a weapons assessment or something. But I don't think I'm going to give it to you now. I don't think he really did. I really think he was just checking up on her to see if she's ready for a meeting. He doesn't really care. I don't want to, this is going to sound rude.
Didn't take it that way. I thought that he was going to potentially, if necessary, pull a Tay on her and decide if she's a weak link, if she's going to, potentially disrupt the rebellion. If she's going to get in the way of it, he may have to eliminate her, and best to do it now while Andor's gone.
Well, no, and that's That's why I said I don't think he really had a mission for her. He was coming to see where her head was at and whether she's going to be an asset down the line or if she's going to keep being a problem and a problem for, Cassian. He will do what he has to do. And unfortunately, we know she's not in Rogue One. So at some point this season, something's going to happen to her, whether it's going to be by Imperial hands or Luthen's hands. We don't know yet. But something is going to happen to her. And I thought that was a little foreshadowing to...
Luthen isn't in Rogue One either.
Very true, yes. So, I think that was a little subtle foreshadowing to what is going to happen to Bix. I don't think it's going to be an Imperial that gets her. I do think she is going to become a problem for the rebellion, and they're going to put her down. And I think Cassian is going to be very upset about it when he finds out. But not enough to, jump ship.
I think she may overdose.
I could see that happening.
But will she actually overdose, or will it be a...
Will it be Luthen?
Will Luthen stage it to look like she did?
That could be too.
I could see that as well, yeah.
And then we find we get a very dapper Cassian showing up on Gorman. And he kind of, learns about the planet's rebels when she comes up in a public place, and he basically reads her the riot act. Like, you could have killed all of us right now, ruined your rebellion. What are you even doing? This is not the proper way to handle it. He's like...
He's coming down pretty hard on him. Like, he's giving him the honest truth. Like, look, you guys aren't prepared. You don't really know what you're doing. You've got a nice idea. You've got the will to want to do this stuff, but you're too headstrong. And you can tell that it's coming from a place of, I don't want you guys to get yourselves hurt. You're just not there yet.
Yep.
You're not ready. You cannot participate in this program right now.
And you can tell Cassian is still of the mindset that, other than where it calls for, you can tell he probably would like to minimize deaths where possible.
And he almost sees it too, like, man, with what's going on in the news and everything else about this planet, the Empire's setting him up. He even says at the one point when he's like, what are you going to do with the weapons? Oh, we're going to store them right here. You're going to store the weapons right under where you live.
Right.
Like, did you guys really think this through? That is terrible.
And then when they mention, they don't say him by name, but when they mention they're working with an Imperial who gave them the information, he says, he could be feeding it to you. Did you not think of this?
This is what they do best. He likes,
wait, what?
No, we're good. Well, they're young and inexperienced, and they've got that, we know, we would know if it was fake information. We got this. We know what we're doing. And
okay.
They're not seasoned enough to see it for what it really is. And unfortunately, Luthen doesn't listen to Cassian. But we'll get into that for, when we talk about the next episode. Because we do get one of my favorite characters between the Clone Wars and Andor, Saw Gerrera. And they are about to leave. Actually, before that, the guy who's being trained by Wilmon kind of says, I almost got all this stuff, but man, if I knew where we were going and which one we were going to use, it would have helped me out tremendously. And of course,
there's so many different ways to turn the dials, and there's so many different. What is the word for it again? They have to. Oh my gosh, what is it when they connect it to the pipeline? I said the word like
siphon
15 minutes ago.
Siphon?
No, not siphon. It's when they have different versions that they have to depending on what pipeline.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, and he mentions like there's so many different ones that I have to memorize in my head, and he at first I'm thinking, oh yeah, I feel kind of bad for this dude. Yeah, that's a lot to memorize, and Saw's really coming down hard on him. And before this, variations. Thank you. That's it. Yeah, so many different variations that he's got to remember, and prior to this talk, he actually says to this guy, how far along do you remember enough? Do we still need this guy? And he kind of looks like, what are you talking about? If you know enough, he knows too much, and he's talking about Wilmon. We need to get rid of him. And it's like, oh man, that's not great.
They had me fooled because when he came up, and he pulled the gun out, I was like, oh man.
There goes Wilmon.
Yep, I
We
thought
just
he was a
lost
gunner.
Brasso.
And then, of course, he's like, yeah, this guy was a traitor. They think we're going to here, but we're not. We're going to this thing. And I don't know about you guys, but when he was breathing in that Rhydonium, and he like talked to Kid and
Nah, that explains a lot about Rogue One.
well, did you see the memes and stuff? It's all because even on Saturday Night Live, when Jen Erso, I can't think of who was the actress who played Jen Erso?
Oh, I don't remember now.
I can't remember her name either, but she was hosting Saturday Night Live, and like, what's his name? Keenan Allen, not Keenan Allen, the guy from Saturday Night Live.
Wayans.
It's not
Wayans.
Keenan Wayans.
Keenan Thompson?
Keenan Thompson, yes. He's dressed up as Saw Gerrera, and he's breathing in that thing, and she's like, "What are you breathing in?" He goes, "Oh, you don't need to know that." And I was like, "Oh my god, did they like see that scene?"
They
and be like,
predicted it.
yeah, that'd be kind of.
Or
funny.
was that Tony Gilroy's idea all along?
It
Felicity
goes.
Jones.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And it goes to show, like, Saw Gerrera is ruthless, and he's a good rebel leader, but he is,
Also, not right in the head.
yeah. And once again, a little thing like that to show why he is so the way he is.
I also love that he brings up his sister during this as well, which is a bit of a deep cut. If you only know him from Rogue One and Andor, you wouldn't know much about his backstory. You got to go back and learn more about him from Clone Wars. So there's my there's my shameless plug of the day. Go watch Clone Wars to learn more about where Saw came from and how his sister probably would have been a lot better of a leader than this psychopath.
And now I do believe Wilmon is now officially a member of Saw Gerrera's team.
Yeah. Ooh, that was one hell of a baptism, as his lungs are burning from the inside. That's really what happened to Two Tubes. That's why he wears that.
Yep. And
That
then
sounds like a Native American name.
it does.
Tutu.
Yeah.
Then we start episode 6. What a festive evening.
Ooh, we have two very festive evenings.
Yes, we do. Luthen picks up Cassian on Gorman, and he lets him know, not doing this.
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah. And once again, that's Luthen being, hey, we just need to do whatever we can to get more people on board. And if there's another massacre on Gorman, that's only better for the rebellion in his eyes.
And so this is like Luthen's plan all along. It's not so much that he basically reveals it. He doesn't care so much whether the Gormans actually succeed in the rebellion or whether they're able to get rid of the Empire. It seems like he's more interested in causing the rest of the worlds to have a reason to rebel. And again, shameless plug, if you paid attention to Rebels, when they go to pick up Mon Mothma, it is right after Gorman is essentially destroyed by the Empire, and she speaks out about it at the Senate, and now she's got to be on the run. So if it was enough to, get Mon Mothma even more radicalized than she already was, then, I guess this is what Luthen wants. He wants more people to see what is happening here and realize the Empire is the bad guys. We need to all step up together. And if it's at the cost of an entire world, it seems like that's what he's willing to do.
Yeah, he's fine with it, which is scary. But they've done a great job. Even the so-called, like, A New Hope, all the Star Wars movies, there's a very distinct line between good and bad. And they blur those lines on the show well. Like, Luthen is like, okay, he's rebelling against this fascist state. But the things he does, because he thinks the ends justify the means. So he's willing to do anything. And man, he's not a good person.
No. At
all. And they, first, wonderfully played, but wonderfully written too. Everything is shades of gray here. Everything that happens.
You don't know what he sacrificed. All right? Ask him. One day you should ask him what he sacrificed and see what he says.
I will never see a sunset again.
And I won't live to see the fruits of my labors.
Probably the best speech in Star Wars history. So
without question, that was that. Yeah,
and you can tell all of the things that he's done is starting to catch up to him because every time, something goes a little awry, it sort of throws him off. Like when what's her name? His assistant at the store, when she, fills him in on the fact that, hey, just so you know, I overheard on the radio that this is going down. We're going to have to do something about it. They're going to find the listening device. He kind of loses it for a second and he's not sure what to do. He starts freaking out. Whereas she's trying to say, we need to come up with a plan. We need to figure out how we're going to remove that listening device before they find it. And I could imagine what's going through his mind. He's probably sitting there thinking, well, time to torch the entire store. We got to leave Coruscant.
Yeah, he probably, I'm sure they have that plan already mapped out, what happens when this all falls apart and how we get out. And he thought it was right then, I bet. I could definitely see that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then we see Vel and Cinta on Gorman. Because Luthen doesn't listen to Cassian because he knows Cassian's right. Well, he knows Cassian's right, and he still is pushing this to get the event that he needs to help push more rebels.
Now, do you think Vel and Cinta are aware of his overall plan, or do you think they believed what Cassian thought, that they're just going there to help get the Gorman front going?
I think they're there thinking they're just getting the Gorman front going.
That's what I thought too.
Giving them some leadership and...
Yes, you could tell that they were invested in making this work.
And then, they figure out, they're like, hey, okay, this is the convoy. Right, Dave? This is the convoy we're going to hit. They map it out. They have it completely planned out. For some reason, Cyril is like perched on a rooftop watching all of this. I don't know if he decided to do it on his own. They never really talked about it.
I can totally see him like, this is a great moment. And they're probably, that's why at the last minute he's telling everybody, okay, everybody get out. Okay, turn the radio on. What are you doing now?
And one of the things, I don't think Cyril knows.
He's a genius.
There's no way he knows what their actual plan for Gorman is. Like, he has no idea there's that mineral in the planet that they're going to have to basically strip mine, destroying the planet to get it out to build their Death Star.
He's probably looking at it from a purely, surface level. These are rebels, and they're fighting against my beloved Empire. We need to stop them for law and order's sake. Because that's exactly the type of person he is. It's all about, law and order, and there's never any sort of more evil thing. He probably couldn't imagine there actually being a Death Star. And if he does actually see it, on space camera, on space TV in between space of the view, as we saw in one of the TVs.
The one thing that they really should do, if they redo the Empire, if another Sith ends up taking over the galaxy, they need a better marketing department. I mean, really calling it a Death Star. I mean, how do you spin that to make
not a Death Star. It is a space station called the Imperial Star.
See, Doug, they needed you. But here's my
question. Don't they always name it after the opposite of what it really is? So it'd be the Life Bringer.
The Life Bringer. See that wonderful glow of life hitting that planet? Oops. Too much life.
Yeah. It's going to restart their universe.
Here's my question for you, gentlemen. After the Empire's plan is completed and Gorman is basically destroyed, do you think Cyril is going to realize he was kind of used and the plan all along was basically to destroy the planet? Do you think...
No. I don't think he's ever going to come to that realization.
I think he might flip to the rebellion. I think he's going to have some aha moment when he realizes that, oh my God, the empire that I worked for that I thought was so great was willing to do this to a planet for whatever resources. Because he, with what he does, he knows some logistical things and understands. And he may figure out that that planet was destroyed for that mineral. He might not know it's going to the Imperial Star. But he's going to figure out the whole thing that happened, all the things, push him getting in with the rebels and feeding them information about all the things. He might put two and two together and figure out that he was used to push the Gormans to become rebels.
Well, I am glad that you're sticking with my naming convention, calling it its proper name, the Imperial Star. I appreciate that.
That's
But
great.
yeah, if he does flip, if he does end up attempting to join the rebellion, because I don't think he'll actually get in, someone will shoot him on sight, or he's gonna die in a mission or something. I don't see him lasting very long. But in my opinion, personally, I don't think he will flip. I think he's too, you know, he's too much like one of those individuals that just believes all of this, all of the BS, just takes it all in and takes it all at face value. And if the Empire said the Jedi tried to kill him, well, who am I to think, to say that that's wrong or that didn't happen? And if he's not doing elections anymore and he's staying the permanent emperor, well, I mean, that's probably what we need.
I can see that too, but the fact that he is actually a part of what's going on right now may help him see what's
Open
really
his eyes
happening.
or something.
Yeah, but you're right. He will try to flip, and he'll probably be shot on sight
Yeah.
because he's not good at this. They will think he is an absolute, imperial who
That
wants to
counts.
gain. Yeah.
The only reason why I don't think they'll do that is because they already did that in, or at least I heard they were planning on doing that in some future movie that hasn't been released yet. Rise of the Skywalker, I think they were going to call it. I don't know. Where they took this long-running, angry, Imperial First Order guy, and then for no apparent reason had him flip to the Resistance, and yeah.
No, they would never do that. They would never have nothing that shows him being flipped at all, and then just all of a sudden have him flip. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I
That sounds like
heard,
you made it up, Doug.
maybe the script still needs to be workshopped, but yeah, I heard it was like just, flip of a coin, like it made no sense at all. He just suddenly says, I'm on your side now, no reason. We don't see why he would do that.
Maybe he's just that good. He's fooling everybody. You guys seem to think he's a surface level guy, but maybe he's got a lot of stuff going on, like a lot deeper. You don't
So
know.
what you're saying is we need an entire show to break it all down and explain.
Oh yeah, the Cyril show. Yeah, with the.
Oh no! I'm talking about all the
cereal?
characters in the
Hux. Hux
sequels.
and the Rise.
Hux.
But I like the Cyril show too, because if
I do
we
too.
could
I
get
would-
more scenes between him and Deidre romantically,
Oh God!
beautiful. We would have a new best.
Somebody.
That would be the only thing that keeps him from doing it, though. Is Dedra.
Yeah.
That he's painfully for the rest of us in love with her.
Mhm. Now, is there a chance that she'll ever flip? That Dedra will ever flip?
She's a psycho, and she's
After
just evolving in her psychoticness.
after her speech about being raised in the Imperial orphanage or whatever it was, and I don't think she ever will. I think she is, like, she knows the plan for Gorman, and she's fine with it. She's like, yeah, what we got to do to be able to destroy the planet without making too many people mad is turn them into rebels that'll do a lot of bad things so we can destroy them and no one will think twice about it. So, yeah, I don't think she will.
She might actually be disappointed, like, oh, we only genocided a few thousand? See, if I was in charge, it would have been a couple of million. Oh, what happened there, Keith?
You made me choke. Oh, my God. We didn't kill enough.
We didn't kill enough. Yeah.
We find out she's actually the one who helps Luke Skywalker blow up the Imperial Star.
Right.
Because she's like, man, so
She's
much
just insane.
She actually turns out to be Palpatine. She ages very quickly within the
She's
next 5 years.
Palpatine's side piece. She's Rey's grandma.
Oh, there
Yeah.
we go. There we go. Good, good.
And half the time when Palpatine was communicating with Darth Vader, it was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they split time.
Lord Vader, the Emperor is on line 2. He is not pleased.
Then unfortunately we see Val and Cinta helping these protesters execute their plan on Gorman. And unfortunately, it goes better than they probably thought, but Cinta gets killed. because of their inexperience. And
Yeah, well, she specifically told them, like, this was repeated multiple times when her and Cinta originally met with the Gorman Front. Yeah, she was very specific. Look, you guys do not know what you're doing. This is your first time. You're inexperienced. So you have to follow orders. The only way this is going to work is if you do not break chain of command. We know what we're doing. We've done this many times. You don't. You've got a plan, but that's all it is. It's a plan. And then she mentions me and me and Cinta. We're the only ones who will have blasters. Nobody else. You don't need them for this plan to work. And what is that little shit stain who was all, gung ho, brings a blaster when he shouldn't have.
And basically, mission accomplished for the ISB.
Yeah.
They're now a terrorist organization.
We hear them telling, or no, I think this might have been Cyril's idea, or was it Dedra? Basically, one of them told the ISB, like, you got to give them a win. That's the only way that's going to sell it.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they do.
It, yeah.
Was it Dedra? Okay. I couldn't remember which one. Yeah, that would make more sense. She is probably the smarter of the two.
Definitely. Yeah, so they are right where they want to be now in that,
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in a show with so many great scenes, seeing Mon Mothma while they're at, what's his name? Oh my God, what is his name? I just said it a little while ago. Davos party.
Yeah.
And Krennic is there, and Mon Mothma and him are kind of debating back and forth. And wow, I was like, this is awesome. This is so great. Seeing both of their ideologies kind of talking and both one fully believing what they're saying. And man, I was like, that is so great. The lady who plays Mon Mothma is great. What's his name who plays Krennic is awesome. I just loved that so much. It was like
Mr. Skrull?
Yeah, Mr. Skrull, yes. And it was just, I was like, oh man, that is so great. And they were just kind of trading barbs, like friendly, but deep down, they're both like, they hate each other. They're not friends.
You are a problem.
Yep.
Now, was it just me, or did you guys kind of notice a bit of tension between Mon Mothma and Stellan Skarsgård's character?
Luthen. Oh, there definitely was.
Because it seemed like when they saw each other at the party, kind of looked at each other like, oh, you're here too. And like, we know that Luthen is going to be there, for the art, but also because they've got to remove that listing device. But obviously he's there because he's a very well-respected individual. He's high up in the, he's considered a very wealthy, influential person. All of the higher-ranked Imperials know who this guy is and have bought pieces from him. So yeah, they all know who he is, and of course he'd be invited to a party like this. But I'm starting to think that maybe Mon hasn't been working with Luthen lately. Maybe the past couple of years. I don't think she has been. I think maybe she's decided that his type of politics are just a little bit too strong for her.
She's thinking he's going more the way of Saw. And she can't be associated with him anymore. I think you're right. I mean, she's seeing that his way of doing things isn't probably what she feels is the right way of doing things.
Because I have not seen her go into his shop once this season yet.
Yeah, I don't think she has. Then we finally get
that she saw him as like whatever's happening. They understand that it's happening from somewhere. And if she is found to be in a picture or something, or they've seen them together at some point, then they're going to put it together that they were working together this whole time.
True, and it could be. We know what happened at the end of episode 3. Where Cinta basically took out her friend who was starting to question.
Potentially blackmail her.
Yeah,
Probably
essentially.
What she's going to do.
Right. And she probably didn't like the way that was handled without her consent. And so they definitely might have had a little rift between them. I think that's possible.
But, I mean, Luthen was probably right.
He definitely was right. Unfortunately. I mean, he needed to keep that guy quiet. You start threatening to blow all of their covers like that, you're gonna
just because your life is kind of shitty right now. It is awful funny that he was willing to I've got very strong politics. He was willing to help when his life was going well. He had a lot of money. He was all of his investments are doing well. His wife hadn't left him.
Yeah. And then we see, I can't remember the Imperial,
The one that's helping him?
Yeah, the rebel who
Lonnie.
Luthen gave the speech. Oh, it's Lonnie. Lonnie.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of gets pulled into that room with Kayla or whatever, and she's like, stand right here, you better do this, you know. And she's like, it's stuck, she's having a time. And this show is good enough that I'm like, I don't know if she's going to get it out in time. Like, I was thinking she was going to have to stop, and they were eventually going to find this bug when he starts going through the process of getting all of these things. But she does end up getting it out at the last second, kind of.
Heath,
Yeah.
this is the scene that I was talking about. This had me on the edge of my seat. Something as
Absolutely.
simple, absolutely. Ooh, are you drinking on Arnold Palmer?
That I am.
Oh, nice.
Good stuff. Something as simple as removing a listening device. I'm just like, hurry! Oh my God, they're on their way. Will you get it out already?
And thanks to the argument, she had a few extra minutes.
I'm like,
Yep.
I'm sitting there like, yes, the more, crazy thing that's happening on this other planet, this whole heist that's happening, I should be, more focused on whether this is going to succeed or not. But I already know that this is just a setup, so I'm not as worried about that. I know that it's going to go mostly according to plan. It's this removal of the listening device. This, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I could not look away. I couldn't look away, and it felt like it was stretching out forever.
They did a
And you
good
can see
job
at one
of
point, she's trying so hard to twist
Yeah.
it and use that tool to get out. Blood is running down her palm.
Yeah, they really did a good job building the tension right there. But
Oh,
I always
gosh.
felt like you know what? When I started to feel myself getting tense, I'm like, no, this is gonna work out. It's gonna be fine. I'm just watching. I don't need to do anything to a watch. So
I was going to reach into my TV and help.
I wanted to.
do it.
You know, you're right, though. You know, the thing that should have been more tense, the thing we know, they're like, okay, they got it all packed out. Send the security team or whatever out there, and they've got it all perfectly planned out how to trick these Gorman front into thinking they just completed a successful mission. And if anything, Cinta dying is going to let Luthen know, yeah, these people are just bad enough that they're going to get you this massacre that you want to basically be able to recruit more rebels.
And knowing Luthen, he'll probably be like, I was hoping it would have been Vel. I could use Cinta more. She's my assassin.
Yeah, he knows that, Vel being related to Mon, he's not going to be able to use her like he could Cinta, so yeah.
I do have a question, by the way. So in the beginning of episode 6, beginning of episode 6, when Vel and Cinta are meeting at that, I guess, cafe or whatever, she mentions that, at one point that the reason why they haven't talked in a while is due to the fact that she was injured on, some mission. And I have to wonder, like, what was she doing? Because from what we can gather, she's basically been, doing the dirty work for Luthen lately. And that's why, prior to seeing her at the wedding party, Val hadn't seen Cinta in quite a while. She's off, offing people. So I have to wonder, what did she do that essentially had her bedridden for like a year?
I hope we find out, but yeah, I don't know if we will, because they're good at kind of hinting, writing in backstory and stuff. And
Yep.
so,
Oh my gosh, yes. Amazing character development, and oh my gosh, I should have seen it coming that something was going to happen. They were having too nice of a moment, and the trope part of my brain that signals anytime like a police detective is like, oh, I'm just a week away from retirement. It should have been that should have triggered like, oh, they're happy. Oh, they're happy. Nobody's allowed to be happy in this show.
but we do find a little moment of happiness at the end of this episode when Bix gets her revenge on Gorse, which I was kind of wondering, it's so funny. We were watching, and I'm like, man, Cassian hasn't been much of a part of this at all. I was thinking, well, we'll see him, 2 years before the Battle of Yavin. I didn't think we'd see him again. And then, they basically kill him and then blow up the building.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if
He's not coming back.
Yeah, if Cassian
no,
thinks
no.
this is going to heal her, I don't think that's the case.
I don't think it will either.
And that may be his
if anything,
big
I think it
mistake.
might make her more reckless.
Yeah.
Well, for that guy, that moment lasted forever.
Yes, it did.
That's it. Yeah. Speaking of that, Dave, it instantly reminded me is when she had, uttered that comment to him, like, but for you, this will feel like it's going on forever. And when she said that, the first thing that came to my mind was the movie Dread, when they give the guy slow-mo before pushing him off the balcony.
Oh, I didn't see Dread.
You didn't see
saw it
Dread?
either.
Oh my God, you guys didn't see Dread? It's an amazing movie. You both need to check it out. But
Add it to the
essentially,
list.
there's this drug that slows down time, and it's really beautiful the way that it's shot. Everything just is like perfect slow-mo. The colors are brighter, and it plays like this sort of wispy drug high music. And this drug dealer, what's her name from Game of Thrones? Cersei. She plays this drug dealer. She's fed up with one of her lieutenants who keeps failing her, so she gives him some of the slow-mo and then pushes him off a 90-story balcony.
Oh,
So
God.
the
So
entire
you
time he's
feel it all the way
falling in
down.
slow motion, and it feels like, he's dying forever as his face smashes the floor and everything, and he's still alive through this.
That reminds me of Rick and Morty. Hit the button, Keith. Slow Mobius
Yeah, a little bit.
in season 7 when they killed him
Mm-hmm.
because that was his uncle, and then he throws him off the cliff, and then he goes no, and he hits in slow motion. He goes, why would he do that? It just makes it last longer.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Well,
Or you have
yeah,
anything else to add?
that's pretty much the end of these episodes. And
Are you guys familiar with the Lonely Island song "Cool Guys Don't Look at Explosions"?
yeah, oh yeah.
No.
That song was playing in my head as Andor's slowly walking away. I'm just like, cool guys don't look at explosions. They just walk nice and slowly away. No time to look at explosions. Too busy being a real cool guy.
That same song was playing in my head when Yelena destroyed that. But we'll get into that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
But once again, I mean, 3 episodes that have just pushed the story along so incredibly well. For a show that we all thought, do we really need a show leading up to Rogue One? It has been the best. And like, Doug said, little nuances they leave in there. Like knowing from Star Wars Rebels that Mon Mothma has to be picked up after this Gorman massacre. And obviously that's coming this season. So I don't think we're going to see her being picked up or anything. But, I mean, they've done their homework. They know what they're supposed to do. They're not, rewriting canon or doing anything like that. They're just much like the Clone Wars did, to make the canon better for the movies. This is doing the exact same thing. And, man, I am going to be so sad in 2 weeks when this is all over.
Same. And the other thing that these shows really do well, and I'm not even just talking about Andor, but The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, all these different shows, what they do pretty well, at least in my opinion, is they're able to kind of pick the elements from, what is considered legends now, figure out what actually still works in canon. You'd mentioned like the whole thing with Tarkin landing on the Gorman people, how that was in legends, that was the Gorman massacre. Now, this is just known as a precursor to all of that. This is now being referred to as the Tarkin Massacre. It's no longer just limited to legends. Now it is canonized. And I love that. I love they're able to pick the things that still work for the greater good of the story and put them in. They're able to put them into the canon. So hopefully you would think some of the people out there that all they want to do is complain about how, it's not my Star Wars. It's not, everything was better with Legends. It's like, they're taking things from Legends, guys. It's okay. The things that still work, things that made sense.
It's like these shows like the Clone Wars, like you said, and Rebels and the show, they kind of fill in the blanks, right?
Yes. Yes.
And if they make their own canon that is in direct, like opposition to what we've seen in the movies, well, that it kind of takes it down a notch. But what they're doing now, they aren't doing that. They're factoring everything in. They're not making their own canon. They're making their story fit the canon, and that plus the dialogue. It's just amazing.
Now, I do have one more question before we get into our reviews of this. Because there seems to be a lot of animosity towards Bail Organa being recast for this. Everyone always says, oh, they need to recast. And then they recast somebody, and everyone gets all upset. Like, I can't believe they did that. Jimmy Smits, fantastic actor, couldn't do this. They got someone else. And I saw somebody saying, all he had was a little cameo, just cut it out. There's a bigger part for Bail Organa next week, I heard. So Jimmy Smits couldn't do it. They recast. I'm absolutely, oh my God, I didn't even mean to say it. I'm absolutely fine with it. Because I'm good with them recasting anywhere they have to. I would rather them recast than have an AI hologram CGI, Tarkin.
Grand Moff Tarkin. Yeah.
So you know what they didn't do for the prequels? They didn't march Alec Guinness out on stage and de-age him with a bunch of makeup and say, I'm sorry, we're not allowed to recast Obi-Wan. You're the only one who can ever be Obi-Wan. They found an actor that fits for, a younger version of Obi-Wan. Makes more sense.
They needed a younger Solo. Harrison Ford wasn't quite fit.
There you go. Same with Lando. They needed somebody to, portray a slightly older Anakin. They didn't want to go with the same actor that they used in Phantom Menace, so they got Hayden Christensen. It's something that they're allowed to do. You're able to do this in Star Wars. It doesn't always need to be. Mon Mothma is a different actress than who they used in the original Star Wars. Obviously, they've got Genevieve O'Reilly, and she's done an amazing job. She's portrayed Mon Mothma very well. I will always be pro if it makes sense, if it works. Recast it, because that is what I think they should have done for Rogue One. I do not think we should have had monster CGI Grand Moff Tarkin, because it's still, to this day, I watch Rogue One and it stands out. It doesn't look right, and I almost wish that's something that they would fix.
That would be nice.
Re-release it, have something else in its place, because it looks so bad.
I'm down for
But yeah.
that.
I read, either I read or I watched something shortly after that, because I wasn't sure if it was a recast. I didn't watch the credits. But I noticed, the face looks a little bit different. The voice sounds a little off. So I looked it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that is a different actor. All right. Why is it a different actor? Oh, there were scheduling issues. Okay. That makes logical sense. But then there was this interview with Tony Gilroy, and they were asking him, so why did you recast, Bail Organa? And he says, oh, well, because, of these scheduling issues, there wasn't, any kind of fallout. He couldn't be here. And the reason why I showed him in this small scene in this episode is to kind of get the shock out of the way. Because as you said, Keith, he has a more prominent role in the next couple of episodes. He's going to be more front and center. So Tony is thinking, let's get the shock, get all the talk and discussion of it out of the way first. And then people will be used to it by the time he's more front and center. That's smart thinking. Dude's a good storyteller, good, I want to say filmmaker. He's also a good, I guess, TV show maker. What's the word for that?
Showrunner.
Showrunner. There you go. Thank you. Yes. He's doing a phenomenal job. Keep it up, man.
Yep. If he needed Bail Organa and Jimmy Smits wasn't available, recast. It's fine. Yep. Jimmy Smits has no problems with it.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Did you read? I read this week that Filoni went to Ray Stevenson's family, and he wanted them to approve of the change, of the actor.
Okay.
And that they were all happy and satisfied with the way his storyline's going.
Nice.
But I think that's cool that they even talked to his family about it.
Yeah, that is nice.
It's a role he played for 8 episodes. And there's that much respect in it. Very cool.
And also one of the coolest hallway scenes ever. I'm sorry, but
Agreed.
I love it. I dig that scene when he's introduced and
When
he's
he
just, you know, hmm?
when he's freeing Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, yes, I love that. Just the his theme that's playing with that piano. Oh, love it. Such a wonderfully shot scene.
Agreed. Well, should we review these next three episodes, or should we give our ratings for the next three
Thank
episodes
you.
of
I was about to say,
Andor?
yeah, I'll rate
I'm
him.
not going to rate the next three. I'm going to rate the three I just watched.
Probably a good idea. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
10 out of 10 for the next three.
All right, I can go. I tell you what, we discussed it earlier why this show is so successful. It brings it to a personal level. I mean, yeah, they could take this story and they could put it into like an espionage, earthbound movie with like not even Star Wars, and it would be still a great show. The way they're doing this show, they just incorporated all that outer space stuff, and they're doing such a great job with it. I I I think I don't want to say relate, but I can sympathize or empathize with each character. I like them all, even if they are on the Empire side. They're just doing such a great job of developing them, and the actors are doing a great job as well. And there's nowhere for this show to go for me but down. So I'm giving these three episodes another 9.5. Amazing.
I'm with you there, Dave. Oh my gosh, these episodes were phenomenal. I love Andor the first season. I've rewatched it 4 times now. The first season, I had to obviously rewatch it prior to this season coming out, and these episodes are just so good. I mean, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse or keep sound like a broken record here, but as we've said throughout this review, impeccable, impeccable character development, world building, great dialogue. I mean, everything about these is done so well. They don't, have to just blurt everything out. You can kind of tell what's happening based on a scene. You can see, how people react to different things. The way that they broke down the whole Cyril Dedra love scene. I mean, I love that. I love the fact that they thought it through. They're like, how do we make this as creepy and awkward as possible? With Dedra just like, turn out the lights. Just like, I love the thought into all of this. I love that Luthen is, teetering more into the area of becoming just a little more cruel and almost like he's almost more indecipherable from the Empire and their actions. And these little things, these poetic moments are just really well done. And these episodes, I think, were even better than last week's. I am in love with this. I cannot wait for it. This had me on the edge of my seat. Something as simple as removing a listening device from a piece of artwork had me freaking out like, is this going to work? And then the fact that they're willing to, that there's repercussions. They're killing off characters. And, Brasso's not coming back, and I have a feeling Cinta isn't either. I'm pretty sure she's gone for good. And they have to do that. It helps, move these characters forward, build out the world more, show us that, even you can have all the hope in the world. It's still a rebellion. There's going to be, things that are going to happen. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Keep going. I love this. It's amazing. I can't wait to see more. Is it Tuesday yet?
And Doug, at the end of it all, they'll need a new hope.
They will. They're gonna.
I just want to say Connor Williams out in the YouTube chat says the writing is incredible. It actually respects the intelligence of the audience.
Oh, indeed. Yes, it
100%
does,
true.
Connor. You're right.
And I'm with both of you guys. These episodes were incredible. I enjoyed every moment of it. It's like every little second, I'm just like, give me more, give me more. And everything that goes on, seeing the parallels between Luthen and the Empire and seeing how he is becoming to get this, fledgling rebellion off the ground and what it's taking. He's becoming more like Saw than he probably ever wanted to be. But he knows this is what's needed if we're going to, basically rebel against this. It's not all the space wizards and princesses and scoundrels doing the right thing and, being the all-around good guys. There's a dark underbelly to this rebellion, and we're seeing it play out. And it's just great. And every character is so well written, not only with their dialogue, but how they are that character. Luthen and Mon, even though they're both on the rebellion, are different. Cassian has his own ideas and thought process and why he does these things. And it's just written into every character so well. And just the story, all these stories interweaving and coming together. And it's only going to keep happening through next week with whatever happens in Gorman, and then following up with leading right into Rogue One. I can't get enough of it. I'm like sad when these episodes are over. Like when the third episode, the credits roll, and I'm like, is there going to be a post-credit scene? And I wait till it says the new show comes up and you got the credits. I'm like, okay, there's no post-credit scene. It's like kind of sad. But I watched episode 6 like late at night, and I had trouble going to bed after it because it was so intense, and it was so, the tension was just crazy. Her trying to get that listening device out before they get caught. And that's just something that is tough for a television show to do. And I'm with Dave. I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. Now, I hope it stays to that level or more. Dave is worried that it can only go down from here. I hope that's not the case. I hope it stays at this level or goes up, because it has been just wonderful television. The best Star Wars show, bar none. I mean, it's amazing. I love it.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not saying that it is going to go down, but I'm saying it's been so good that that's the only way it can go.
It's the only direction it can go. No, I get that, Dave. Yeah. Oh, totally unrelated ADD moment. But
There we go.
were you going to earlier? Were you going to mention that Bix was seeing the blinking light?
Oh yeah.
And then we never talked about it. I think he said, "Oh, good foreshadowing," and then we never brought it up.
But yeah, that's how he communicated. That's pretty genius, actually. The way
I don't
they
think
do
that was that actually happening. I thought that was in her head.
No, that's how he sends out the message.
Oh,
Come to talk to him.
oh, I thought she was imagining that from the drugs.
Oh no. She just was looking out the window right after she took the drug.
Okay,
But it
all right.
actually happened.
I literally thought she was like seeing, like a blinking light on a skyscraper and thinking, "Oh, we've got a mission." And Cassian, we sure do, buddy.
No, because they did that before. Earlier in one of the episodes, he went and met Luthen
Okay, all right.
after the blinking light. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Great stuff.
I did not know that.
Are you guys want to talk a little Thunderbolts?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. We'll be back.
All right. We're going to talk asterisk tonight. That's what we're going to talk.
Yeah.
We definitely are. Before, if anyone is out there, you're just joining us, you didn't hear us just spoil the last 3 episodes of Andor, this is spoiler filled. If you want to see our spoiler free review, check us out on YouTube. We're at the theater on Thursday, saw it. We gave our initial ratings and thoughts on it. Now we're getting in depth on everything that happened.
Say, Keith, where could they find that spoiler-free review?
Well, check out in the what's it called, the chat, and you'll get our link to YouTube right there. So go there, watch it, come back here if you want to hear us talk about it. But give us your thoughts on this too. We like to chat with you guys out there in the YouTube and Twitch lands. We want to hear your thoughts if you've seen Thunderbolts yet. Now, this movie does start off with. Oops, I'm in the wrong. Let me get to my notes.
Whoops.
Yelena kind of goes in and she has a mission, something to do with Project Sentry. And she wants to be able to get facial recognition. The one guy's not helping, and unfortunately the other guy. So she just blows the whole place up. I guess mission accomplished. And then we kind of see Valentina Allegra D. Fontaine. I said the D.
Fontaine.
Where does the Contessa go again?
I believe at the beginning, Contessa
Okay.
Valentin.
Okay.
You know, she is being impeached by Congress or attempting to be impeached. And
But of course, it's all fake news. Fake news.
yeah, it's all, none of this really happened. This is all craziness. Is not, and of course, to support her story, she sends all of the loose pieces to the same place where all the other evidence need to be destroyed, and basically telling them all they're there to kill someone trying to steal evidence or whatever. And
And
so
I love that, just like every other supervillain, she doesn't actually check to make sure that, it's gonna. She just like, she assumes, okay, they're all in one spot and then we're going to incinerate the building. She does not take into account that, oh, that's right, these are ruthless killers that I've been hiring out to do all of these, horrible jobs for me, and they will find a way out.
well, because remember, she said they're working together. She didn't think there was a chance that they would work together to save themselves. But you know what? It was Yelena, it was John Walker, U.S. agent, Ghost, and Taskmaster. And one of them didn't make it out.
Yeah.
One of them said 2 words and was done.
I mean, oh my gosh. She was barely in it. Did she even have a line?
She had
Yes,
one line.
she said like 2 words, and that was it. And she was on the poster, for crying out loud.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
we were saying at the theater, not in the recording, obviously, it was a spoiler-free, but we were talking amongst ourselves, and my general idea is they did this on purpose in order to kill off the version of Taskmaster that nobody liked from the movie that nobody liked about, Black Widow. And I think, in my opinion, I think that this movie is actually a better Black Widow movie than the one we originally got, because I think Yelena is an outstanding good Black Widow replacement. I mean, we kind of know more about her than we did about, the original Black Widow.
Natasha,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, she didn't
Natasha,
do the superhero landing, so how could she be the new Black Widow? I mean, I didn't see one single superhero landing in that movie.
Oh man,
Very hard on the knees.
Negative 1 out of 10. We got no superhero.
She should have done it, and then she should have commented again. Why did I do that? So stupid.
And then some guy just pops out of nowhere named Bob. I don't know
Just
if you
Bob.
guys. I don't know if you guys saw this. Haven't confirmed this yet, but I think this is true. He spells his name backwards.
Whoa.
Don't know. Heard it's true.
Trademark.
Got to check with some of my sources.
No, but nobody paid for a dad joke. That's weird.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, sorry about that. I
So
swore
what
I
you're
saw
saying?
it
He
come
goes
through.
by Trebor.
Yes,
Get out, Dave.
but
Because that's what Valentina called him, Robert. That's what she called him.
and well, minus Taskmaster, they kind of get out of this trap thanks to them working together and turning off the sonic blaster that stops Ghost. To get out, she comes back and saves them, even though they don't believe she will once she gets out. I enjoyed, one of the things I enjoyed most about this movie is the banter between all these characters. Like, none of them like each other. And they just kind of quip back and forth at each other, but it doesn't
But they have a
come off
common
as-
enemy.
Yeah. They band together for that common enemy, but it's just them talking about, like, how many times did poor John Walker get called, like, Junior Varsity Captain America or Dime Store Cap? I mean, yeah, I was the real Cap for like 2 seconds.
For like a weekend.
Yeah, didn't that end horribly when horribly murdered somebody in the street? But that was largely taken out of context.
About that.
But they end up escaping together by crawling up that thing together, with John deciding to jump for it, unbeknownst to the rest of them. But they end up, they all, of course, he's like, they're like, I can't believe you did that. What a jerk move. And he's like, we're all safe, right? That's not really the point. It took some help. Even though Yelena using, catching Bob on that thing probably wasn't needed, because as we see, they put on some uniforms and they escape out of this building. Ghost gets them a car, like they said, and while they're driving out, they get stopped. And they're like, John Walker's like, yeah, we're got some casualties. Oh, the hospital's on the north side. No, we were told that no one's getting off base.
All right, everybody get out.
Yep. And then Bob takes off with a gun, blasting away so they could escape. He didn't know that he wasn't going to be sacrificed, but
No.
They end up just shooting him and blasting him, and he stands back up and he starts floating. And then he just comes he takes off, and then I can't remember now. Did something happen that caused them to, or did he just kind of fall because he didn't know?
Oh, he fell because he was losing consciousness. He was too high up.
That's right.
He couldn't breathe. He sort of passed out.
Yeah, and he comes crashing down, and the impact kind of takes their truck, knocks it off the mountain, so they no longer have a vehicle. They're wondering what's going on.
I was literally waiting because I'm so used to how Marvel movies go. I was waiting for like ice to start forming on his face, and for somebody to say, he didn't figure out the icing problem.
Yep, that was a very Iron Man move right there. You might want to check into it.
And then, of course, because he was the limo driver for Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Are you going to say her full name?
Every time, yes.
Her government name.
She says just call her Val. Now just honor her wishes.
Okay, I will. Namor, we'll honor her wishes. But since he was the driver for Val and Mel, he knows what's going on, so he drives his limo out there, ends up picking up John, Ghost, and Yelena. Of course, Bob is shipped back to New York after he kind of crash lands into the earth, and they decide, well, actually, not yet. Forget I said that next thing. I almost forgot about this part. I need to look at my notes better. They're running from Val's people. Are you happy? I called her Val. And then the Winter Soldier shows up. That felt very a mix between Winter Soldier and Terminator, the way he was taking things out.
Yes, I looked over at Dave. I'm like, it was such a Terminator 2 move when he like one-handed, loads a shotgun and he flips it around and he's blasting. And it's like, oh, and he's got the leather jacket on, riding the motorcycle. Yeah, clearly somebody was a fan of Terminator 2 and was like, we got to make the Winter Soldier a Terminator. I mean, he's got the metal arm already. He's basically a quarter Terminator already.
It was also kind of a Wonder Woman moment, Wonder Woman 1984 moment, like they're out in the middle of the desert and
Wonder Woman 1984. Did we see that one? Did we see that movie?
Thanks, Dave.
I don't think
You're going to
did.
have someone going off for the next 3 hours.
He's having to be out in the middle of the desert doing all this stuff.
Oh my gosh. I love not only this moment with Red Guardian, just he loves the Winter Soldier. He's like, this is my hero. This dude is amazing. He's a psycho assassin who was made by Hydra, but Red Guardian loves him. I pretty much love every scene with Red Guardian in this movie because oh my gosh, he was hilarious. Even his little, daughter daddy moment earlier when he's talking to Yelena before she goes on the mission, when she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm very, I'm kind of bored. I'm over it. I need something different, more heroic. And he's trying to give her advice in his robe and trashed apartment. But he's a great dude, and I love his. Oh, the Winter Soldier! Oh my gosh! Yeah. Oh wait, what is he doing?
I had to think to myself: is he that goofy in the comics?
No,
no way.
He's completely the comic relief here. He's like Drax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Red Guardian in the comics is basically the Russian Captain America. He's very serious, this is by the book and stuff. Yeah, this is definitely not the Red Guardian we get from the comics, and I appreciate it because he really.
I honestly don't know what he's like in the comics. Is he even a good guy?
He is kind of like at first they made him just he was Russian, so he was pure evil.
Okay, yeah,
but he was just part of the Winter Guard, which is the Russians' Avengers. So they would protect Russian interests around the globe, but they would fight against villains. They weren't like the villains, so. But oh my God! And the funny thing is, we heard early before this movie came out that the reason they were going to be called the Thunderbolts was because of Yelena's soccer team. And I kind of groaned when I heard. I'm like, oh my god, that's terrible. But it worked. Like, just the way they filmed it and talked about it and stuff. And of course, Red Guardian have to call it the full name instead of just Thunderbolts. I was like, that's good. That's pretty funny. But we get Bucky catches him and he ties him up, and he's like, I'm taking you in to basically talk to the impeachment panel, and you're gonna give them everything you know about this because we're gonna nail her. And they're like, no, you don't understand. There's this guy Bob. He's like, Bob, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, no, he's like dangerous. And she took him, and he's like, okay, whatever. And then Mel calls him because he had that great scene when she's like, are you handing me your garbage? No, that's my
Right.
business card.
Right. That was another moment. I looked at Dave and I'm like, oh, she doesn't know what a physical business card is, does she? She's too young.
Yep. But she calls him because she's starting to have second thoughts of all that she's doing with Val. And so she explains to
A bit
him.
of doubts about what she's doing and if it's really the right thing, especially. And you could see even like every time Val tells her to do something that's not very moral, like when she says, all right, torch all of them, even Mel is like, really, are you sure?
Yeah, she seems. And now I don't know about the rest of you. Calling her Mel, I thought for sure she was going to turn into Songbird at some point in this movie, because Melissa Gold is screaming Mimi / Songbird from the Thunderbolts comic. So they did it on purpose. And I was like,
Probably.
every time they mentioned her name, I'm like, what's her last name? Tell me her last name is Gold. Tell me it's Gold. And of course, I don't think, if she's going to become Songbird, they're saving it for another time. But they definitely called her Mel to get all of us comic book nerds going, oh, hey, you know who else is named Melissa? You guys know?
Yeah.
But, once Bucky gets the call from Mel and he finds out what they're saying is actually true, he says, well, you guys are going to help me stop it or whatever. And it kind of ties them up, and they end up heading to New York. They join forces together, and they break into the Watchtower. Now, was
The
there
Watchtower.
was there-
Interesting choice.
was there another like TV show or something that had something called the Watchtower, Dave?
Could have been Smallville, starting in season 8
Justice League?
with Chloe watching. Yeah, it's a DC thing, and you know what? When me and Doug saw it, we said, well,
The
that's more of
same
an
thing.
homage than it
Yeah.
is a jab. So
It definitely was an homage. They're kind of like, I appreciated it myself. I was laughing because I'm like, oh, Dave's definitely going to bring up Smallville when we talk about it.
Now, real quick, what did you say Songbird's last name is?
Melissa Gold.
Okay, well, that is her name.
Is it
I
really?
just looked it up. Yep. Melissa Joan Mel Gold.
bada boom, bada bing.
When is
There
she
you go.
turning into Songbird? Oh, I should have looked it up. Good job. Yes. But,
About the time Wonder Man shows up.
dude, I mean, you think Andor is peak television. You just wait till Wonder Man gets here. You guys are going to be in awe. But-
Is Tony Gilroy running that show too?
I hope. But I loved the scene where they're like beating up all of her guards, and she like gets on the loudspeaker. It's unlocked. Just
Right.
stop.
Yeah. Just come on up. What are you waiting for?
I just did the drywall. Would you just come up already? By the way, one more thing. In the MCU wiki, it does say that Mel wears a bird necklace as an homage to her comics counterpart. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice it either.
Huh.
Well, I'm gonna have to
Go
watch
see
it again.
You can see it.
I know,
yourself.
right? What'd you say, Dave?
Go see it again. You can see
Yeah,
yourself.
right?
Now that I know her name's Melissa Gold, I can't wait for her to get her powers. But the Thunderbolts head up the stairs, get to the Watchtower's main room or whatever we want to call it, and
Tony's bar.
Bob is
Bar, yeah.
Bob is now Sentry. he completely overpowers the team when they try to stop him.
He flipped really quick. And he's like, well, one of the Avengers is a god, and you said I'm more powerful than the Avengers, so I mean, stands to reason I'm basically a god.
Yeah, why would I listen to you? He, turned on Val pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to use the kill switch, but he's a little too fast for her. But then Mel, uses it on him, them thinking it's going to kill him. It didn't kill him. All it did was bring out the void, which is horrifying. But of course, it's a Disney movie, so all of the horrifying acts basically get corrected at the end of the movie. But I mean, I really loved the way they filmed it. He had those tiny, beady eyes. Like in that void, you could kind of see where he was looking, and he was just ruthless. I mean, he was just darkening out everything, obviously.
And I'm assuming that the scientists who had been working with him before knew that he could do this, because when Yelena's looking at the photographs and everything in the place that's supposed to be torched where all the evidence is, she happens to flip through, and we see this one like Polaroid where it shows these like shadows on the floor, kind of thing. And I think that is what the scientist that she was sent to go off. I think that's what he was trying to warn her. He was like, no, you have to tell her you don't understand. Sentry isn't what you think.
And they kind of hint on it a little bit in this movie. But there was a reason why they picked Steve Rogers to be Captain America and get the super soldier serum. Because of just the kind of person he was, a good guy. And that's what Bob had a lot of issues prior to the super soldier serum. And obviously they came out once he was, once they worked on him. So, you're right. That guy that was telling Yelena early on in the movie, no, this isn't what you think. We can't do this. This is not the right guy. And she was right. And because all of these heroes just punch, kick, and shoot, pretty much, they cannot face a god like Sentry. But they do kind of go into his mind, because they had established earlier, like if he's touching her in proximity, they can kind of enter that space where he is at while the void is out, and they kind of enter there, and they're going through the rooms, and he's.
Well, I love before you talk about that, you'd mentioned that they do a lot of punching and kicking, but they are deep down, they're still heroes. Like, they may not think that they are, but we see a moment where each one of them is doing their best to save people. When all that destruction is going on, in New York, as things are crumbling, buildings are falling, we're seeing all of them, trying to do their best to stop people from getting hurt. And I think one of the most jaw-dropping moments, for me at least, was seeing Red Guardian. He saves this little girl, and he goes to put his hand on her shoulder, like, are you all right? And then the music is gone, and it's just silent. Boop. She's blanked out of existence, and I'm just sitting there like, no, they didn't.
I was like, and I immediately thought, this is by Disney. That kid is not gone forever. They would not do that to a child in a movie.
Yeah, it did. It took me a second, but eventually I got there too. I'm like, oh, no. This is going to be like, my mind went to, because I always did this in Ghostbusters. Whenever there was some sort of ghost that would cause something to happen. I'm talking about both the animated series and the most recent movies. But anytime something bad happens as a result of a ghost, as soon as they catch it, everything goes back to normal. We saw that actually in the most recent Ghostbusters movie too. So I'm thinking, it took me a little bit longer than you, Dave. Eventually I got there. Eventually, I was just like, oh, no, wait, they're not going to kill a kid. They wouldn't do that, not in a Disney movie.
I was the same with Dave. When they were first shadowing everybody, I'm like, okay, this is going to be another event in the MCU that they talk about heroes and how much destruction it caused. But as soon as that girl left, I'm like, okay, they're coming back.
Nope. They're okay. This isn't as bad as we thought.
But then they all kind of join together. Well, Yelena goes in first, and she's going through the rooms, and she eventually finds Bob. And she's kind of talking to him and trying to get everything down. And eventually the rest of the team joins her because they figure out, hey, we know this is going on. They're all there. And the void kind
Bob mentions at one point, and this was a little, unnerving in a way. He says, I found this room. This was the nicest out of all the rooms. And, as we're seeing Elena traverse through them, yeah, they're all essentially like the worst nightmares of every person that's been blanked out there, just repeating tortures. It's almost like, like hell in a way. If you guys ever saw the show, oh my gosh, it's on the CW. Um, oh my gosh, Lucifer, the show Lucifer. That's essentially how they portray hell. In that it's just the person's like worst nightmare on repeat over and over again for all of eternity. And it seems like that's essentially what they're going for in the Void. It's like, Yelena, she keeps seeing the first time that she had to take a life, constantly repeating over and over. And for Bob to say, yeah, this is the nicest room, and we can see through the cracks, he's seeing his family, yell at him and degrade him. But it makes me wonder, so we saw him blank out that kid, send her to the Void. What torture nightmare world is she in? If where he is at is the nicest room.
Well, she got her own room where she wasn't allowed to have pudding before bed one night. And that's, her worst
That
memory.
could be hell for someone. Yes, that is absolutely hell.
I want my
Bob goes in there, no pudding. I'm going back to the bedroom.
No pudding, third world problems.
I'm waiting for like the one kid to be like, "What do you mean the batteries in my Game Boy died?" No.
That's it. I threw it on the
I'm
ground.
about to set the record.
But the Void shows up and Bob just starts unleashing on him, which they kind of figure out pretty quickly. That's what the Void wants. He basically wants to push Bob completely over the edge. So he's the Void all of the time. And Yelena gets free. She does some sweet parkouring to get over to him. And eventually they all come.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, they set that up so that way she could do some parkour. Okay.
But they all show up. They give him a group hug. Everyone's together. The Void is gone. Bob is back. They save the day. And they
Love conquers all.
They see Val.
Love conquers all, yeah.
Yes, that is. There's probably a song about that somewhere. But they see Val kind of talking on the phone, and they are like, okay, we're going to go confront her. We're going to get her. She's not going to do this again. And as they walk up, boom, they walk through the thing, and boom, it's a press conference. She announced them as the new Avengers. And I laughed because Yelena was like, we have you now, Val. But Val is that type of character. She is so manipulative. She knows she had to give up a little bit to stay safe for now. But I could really see her getting back power against everyone in the new Avengers because that's just how she is. I mean, you don't become the director of the CIA and work with Ox and all these other things that she's done without being able to manipulate a situation to get it on your benefit. So even though Yelena said, we got you now, they don't. They might for now. But she's eventually going to go back to her old ways or do things, which I really like in the sense, even though they're not the Thunderbolts anymore. The comics, Zemo created the Thunderbolts by putting a bunch of villains together under new names to pretend to do good until they could, take over the world or whatever. So it's nice that kind of she's not really a villain. I don't want to call her a villain, but someone with sketchy moral views on how to get things done is kind of in charge of them for right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all goes.
And one of the things that they've, that Yelena, mentions earlier in the movie is they all have shady pasts. They've all done terrible things, so none of them are perfect. We know that Ghost had to do what she had to do to survive, until she was able to get that suit to stabilize her. We know that, Yelena herself was a Black Widow, and it took her a very long time to leave that life. In fact, the fact that she's still running missions for Val in order to where she is killing people, it tells me that even though she's not under the control of the Black Widow program anymore, she's still kind of doing Black Widow stuff. And Red Guardian, clearly deep down, his super soldier serum made him an even greater hero, but a lot of what he does is, to be on camera for the fame and everything, that comes with that. But yeah, they all have dark pasts, and they have to come together, work together, and become the new Avengers. And I like that. I like that, again, going off the same theme that we were talking about with Andor, they're very human.
Yeah, you can feel for these, especially when you find out like John Walker's wife and kid left him. You find out they all have, sketchy passes, but it seems like they want to be better, and maybe this is their chance to become better and be the heroes they want to be. I do hope Walker gets a new shield, though.
Now,
Actually, one of them is like all powered in Century once he learns how to control it, and compared to the other street level people, it's like Superman with the
Green
the
Arrow.
frames. Yeah, with all.
Oh
their,
yeah.
He's like, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. That's the kind of thing.
Well, Sentry does say there at the end that he can't really do anything because he's afraid if he turns into Sentry that the Void will take over again.
Right, he hasn't learned how to control it, but he will.
Eventually, yeah.
He'll definitely have to become Sentry in the next Avengers movie to help.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
but it's funny you mention that, Dave, because in Justice League, that was one of the issues that they were dealing with, was the fact that, Superman could, one-shot all of these villains, and what's the point of having the Justice League when you've got a Superman? So every episode that he was in, they had to try and find a way to nerf him, whether it was them, fighting a magic guy that's going to down Superman, or something that's going to put him out of commission, so that way you can have a reason to bring Batman and Green Arrow in.
Yeah. It's like, what do I need you guys for?
Right. Oh, good, Superman. Oh, and Batman's there too, I guess.
Yeah.
can you guys help me fight Darkseid? I'll handle him. You guys handle his minions or something. But then we get 2 post-credit scenes. The first one was just a comedic one with the new Avengers arriving on their Wheaties box, and Red Guardian, at the store, of course. Hey, do you recognize anyone on his box?
The Wheaties box, I love it.
And she just eventually takes it, like, oh, okay, then just sets it down and leaves. And as Dave pointed out at the spoiler-free at the theater review, the end credit scene is the longest post-credit scene in MCU history, over 3 minutes. And at first, it seemed like it was just going to be a little bit silly, and it was them kind of talking about Sam branding the Avengers name, and then, of course, Red Guardian comes out with his new Avengers with a Z. This is how we get around it. And I got one for
and then
all of
the
you.
people sponsoring.
And, Bob's like, hey, I just over here hey, I did the dishes, but I can't really become Sentry or whatever. And then they're talking about the space issue, or the issue in space, and of course John Walker takes it the wrong way, and they're like, no, outer space. But then we see he's they get a satellite to start showing the image, and we see a rocket ship coming in,
Very retro rocket ship, and they even mention what the heck.
And as it turns, we see the 4 emblem. And did you guys know that the Russo brothers directed that post-credit scene?
I did not.
I found that out today. I was digging through some stuff, and the director of Thunderbolts said, yeah, I didn't direct that one. And they were like, who did? And he's like, the Russos. So that was something they put together for this. So I think that pretty much confirms this is going to be post-Fantastic Four, pre-Doomsday, for what either they're fleeing from Galactus destroying their universe, or that they figure out that this Doomsday event is going to happen, so they come to the 616 to help.
Well, if you guys, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but right towards the back end of the rocket, it was there for just this brief second, you could see a cloud coming after the Fantastic Four rocket, so they were in a hurry to get away from, obviously, Galactus.
Technically, there's only 1 or 2 things that happened before this Fantastic Four movie. Technically. There's Captain America, that happened in the 1941, right? And, of course, Wolverine being born in the 1850s. What else has transpired before what happens with the Fantastic Four?
So
Technically.
I'm still not convinced that it's
The
in the.
Eternals.
That's true. What? The what?
Hey, that movie
Yeah,
was
it's a bit
not.
of a blur. I don't
That
remember that.
that movie is not terrible. It's not.
It's not good though.
Well, it's good. It's not great.
It's
There's
not
some good
good.
scenes in
I'm
it.
sorry. I disagree with that. It is not even good. It is average at best.
Yeah.
First off,
They
we
could
will
have done it
never
so much better.
talk of any movie with Salma Hayek as saying it's average at best. You guys will take back those words and give it its proper due. Now, I tell you.
And Keith, at one time, Keith's favorite TV show was The Inhumans. No, I'm cool. Okay, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm sorry.
It was so good. It was underrated, you guys.
Well, at least we had the same Black Bolt. We got that right.
That is true. We did get that Black Bolt in the 838.
But no, that's my theory, and I think I might have mentioned this. I don't think I mentioned it on camera because we weren't doing spoilers, but I did tell you guys. I'm not convinced that the Fantastic Four world is the 60s. I think it's, their version of 2025 or 2026 or whatever, but it just happens to be very retro futuristic, very Fallout. That's the way that I see it. I think it's very much like that, where they've got a lot of 50s style, appliances and vehicles and everything, but I don't think that's the actual year they're in.
I'm going to
So you're
one up
saying-
you, Doug. I'm going to one up you.
Okay.
Both of your theories are right. The Fantastic Four gets started in the 60s, and we will see some throwbacks to that in their movie, but most of it takes place in the current now, basically, in their
okay.
multiverse. That's what I think's going to happen.
Are they in a universe where Thanos didn't happen?
Yes.
They're in a Thanos where he tried to attack in his Thanos copter.
Thanos free universe. Thanos was stopped by Squirrel Girl, who has not yet been discovered.
Yeah, he didn't even have the Infinity Gauntlet. He
Actually-
was just going to.
No, stop. You guys are just making jokes. This isn't a laughing matter. This Thanos' equilibrium is bad.
Oh, he was all leaning to the right and everything.
Perfectly balanced isn't a thing for him.
Right.
So,
All things are possible in infinite universes.
that's right. That's right.
I do hope, actually, now that you mention that, I hope during the Fantastic Four movie, we get to see them stopping alternate universe versions of some of these villains that are just like a little more kooky and comic booky.
Well, it seems like we know John Malkovich looks like he's playing the Red Ghost, and obviously he's not the main villain of the movie. So I do think we will see scenes of them, rising to power. That's kind of a weird way to put it, but their adventures pre this movie, because we did see in the new trailer that there's like a talk show host talking about, oh, you've saved us so many times. And I wonder if we're going to see, like them stopping the Mole Man and them stopping Red Ghost and maybe, a bunch of different other Fantastic Four like villains. We see them stop them all like in the past. Like, this is what you've done for us so far. And then obviously the giant purple guy shows up.
Kind of like an Incredible Hulk thing, where they put all the, because they didn't want to with Ed Norton, they didn't want to redo the story, so they kind of just flashed through it in the opening credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to tell this
Okay.
story again. I mean, how many times have they done the origin story for the Fantastic Four now? It's like three. This would be the third time if they did it, and so they're not going to do it.
Yeah. Well,
You
we'll
know,
see.
you
We'll
say
see them
that,
go out into
Dave.
space, but yeah, they won't redo the whole thing.
You say that, but how many times have we seen the Batman origin story?
Not enough.
That needs to be in every DC property at some point in every story.
Hey, you guys know that character Batman? Did you know what happened to why he became Batman? No, tell us. Pearls.
Bunch of pearl clutching.
But I don't know if your guys' opinions have really changed since Thursday. I still think this is,
No.
quality movie. I enjoyed it. My sister saw it. I talked my sister into seeing it. Her and her son saw it today. They both enjoyed it. Tundra Walker saw it today. He said it was a 7.5 for him. He enjoyed
That's
it.
what I gave it.
Yep. And it seems like everyone who sees it. Attack on Show saw it. He loved it. He was very impressed with it.
Good,
So
good.
it is definitely, it had an A- cinema score. I think the Rotten Tomatoes was 92% or something. So this is getting very positive reviews.
So
Yeah, they're projecting. I just read they're projecting 77 million for an opening weekend.
mhm.
Not bad.
Which is
That's not
above
bad at
what
all,
they
no.
originally had projected.
Yeah, it's not an Avengers level movie, obviously, and these are the new Avengers. But they're not going to hit as hard because they're not the main ones. So
right.
still a good
Also,
opening.
they're still struggling to get people, butts in seats at the theater, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I think the overexcitement that some folks had when you had a couple people who got to see the movie much earlier than we did, saying, "Oh, it's the best thing since Endgame." I think that's being a little overzealous. I don't think it was. It was a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was that good.
Do they not recall Spider-Man?
Right there, but do they not recall Guardians 3?
Do they not recall Deadpool and Wolverine?
Right? We've had a lot of good movies since Endgame. So, I don't know. And also, the only other thing that, I guess my opinion hasn't changed. I've just had more time to think about it. The only other thing that I'll state is this movie reminds me a little bit of Civil War, where they called that a Captain America Civil War, but in my mind, I saw it as it's basically an Avengers movie.
Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. This, they called it the Thunderbolts, but in my opinion, I think Yelena was the main character. I feel like this is really this is a better Black Widow movie. I saw this as the new Black Widow.
This was
You can call it the
definitely-
new Avengers, but
This was her coming into, and honestly,
yes.
just talking about Florence Pugh, she is such an incredible actress. She has
Oh my gosh, yes.
chemistry with everybody. Anything I've seen her in, she has had great chemistry with any character she's acting with. It's like, that is just impressive to me, because sometimes you get a good actor working with somebody and it just doesn't seem to click, it doesn't seem to work. She seems to work with everybody, and that's like kudos to her acting ability. She's so good. And
Yeah,
she
had
plays
this great 5-minute scene in Oppenheimer. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yes, she did.
There was nothing in Thunderbolts that compared to that. That is true. But she still had some fantastic scenes, showing her acting prowess. I hope that they sign her long term, and she is just the Black Widow in the MCU moving forward for the longest time, until she is so old she can barely move, and they can't CGI her doing flips or anything.
All right, we're gonna have you parkour. All right,
Yeah.
with her
Like-
walker.
Like Dave said,
Until you're 90.
she's getting a Hugh Jackman.
But yeah, no. I will still state, my rating that I said at the theater. I still think it's a 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. Go see it. Go check it out. Is it the greatest thing since Endgame? No, but it is still a good movie. It's fun. I think a lot of the funniest scenes were the same scenes that you guys all saw in the trailer. You're going to see those in the movie. But some of the deeper, more character developy scenes, those are only in the movie, and they're good. The thing isn't, when we saw the trailers, I likened it to a Guardians movie. I thought that's what it was going to be like, because that's what the previews kind of made it out to look like. It's not that. It is not a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Yeah, it's got a couple of funny parts, but it is very much a character-driven movie.
And when Sentry gains control of all his powers, it's going to be him versus Jean Grey as the Phoenix.
Oh, are we doing Phoenix Force again?
Of course.
You know
what
we
we need
are.
to do?
Dark
We need to
Phoenix
call the
Saga.
same director back.
He's already doing the next.
charm.
He's doing Star Wars trilogy, so he'll be busy.
I'm sure he can write this too. They'll get him.
He's already kind of wrote a Phoenix trilogy himself. So. Well, Keith, well, it's Saturday night at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I know.
It's fate.
Speaking
Man.
today, all day has felt like Sunday to me because we were streaming. We don't usually stream
It
on a
has
night
felt
when
like
we don't
Sunday.
have to work or something tomorrow. So, like getting OBS and stuff ready and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, it felt like a Sunday to me. So it's so nice that I don't really have to get up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until my kids wake me up, but you know that's fine. That's better than getting up for work.
Oh, I didn't even know Tundra Walker was on Twitch. It's been a while
he
since I
is.
saw him.
Game time. I'm not done with berets, raspberry or otherwise. Oh my God. You know what? I'm with you, Tundra Walker. Let me give you the 5 minutes since you cashed in a Gilbert Godfrey. When John Walker had that beret on, I was like, you're not helping yourself out, John. That looked terrible. Put the mask back on or whatever you want to call it, because the beret ain't doing anything for you.
And you carrying your shield taco.
Taco, right?
Why did they not fix it? It was like 14 months. Did they have any missions? They could have at least fixed that shield for him. Or is he like, no, I want to keep this as a memento to the time we fought Bob. This shows that I fought him. I'm on the same power level as Sentry. I could take him out if I really wanted to.
Maybe he's hoping that now that they have access to adamantium, that he can get the government to give him an adamantium shield.
He's gonna want one, but he'll probably just get some energy shield or something weird
Something
like
dumb.
that.
Vibranium is still better because it defies the laws of physics when you throw it.
You know, they've mentioned that before. I don't remember which movie it was. How does your shield work, man?
That's in Civil War, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
was it Spider-Man that said that, or was it?
Yep.
I thought so.
Your shield doesn't obey the law of physics at all.
Stop questioning it, Spider Boy. You can stick to walls. Where's that in your physics book? And a Tundra Walker, if you're still out there, what did you think of the post-credit scene? The one where we saw the Fantastic Four emblem come into focus. Of course, before all of that, we were watching the credits and I saw that in the music section they said the Fantastic Four theme. And I shook Doug and I'm like, why? I didn't hear that play. It must be coming up. And I thought for sure we were going to see like Pedro and Vanessa and all of them, but no, we saw a rocket ship. Thanks so much for that. I'm so excited. The Fantastic Four are riding a rocket. Thank you, Marvel. I never would have seen that anywhere else.
Yeah, that earns the drink.
I can only do this voice for so long until I need to do something to soothe my sore throat. I don't know how Gilbert talked like this all the time when he was on stage. It's like Kurt Cobain ruining his voice because he had to sing that way. Poor Gilbert. I know what you're going through, buddy. I know what you went through, I should say. R.I.P. Rest in power, King.
Yeah, you know, when I found out that that wasn't his natural voice and that he only did that when he was on camera, I'm like, you're telling me that he does it on purpose? That's a choice?
Who? What did I miss?
Gilbert.
This
Gilbert?
isn't his natural talking voice.
That's right. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, that blew my mind when I found that out because, you know, I knew him from a bunch of... As a young man, I knew him from that movie Problem Child and as, you know, the bird in Aladdin. So I'm thinking, oh, that's just how the guy talks.
Iago.
What Dave
And then I think it
said.
was on like like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, one of those shows. Maybe it might have been Conan, and he was like, you know, just normal talk. I'm just like, what? He could have done that this whole time.
Guys, I gotta make an announcement. Look how far I've gotten through this book.
Whoa. Jeez, that was your.
Looks like a Bon Jovi lyric. You're halfway there. Way to go.
I am
Dave.
halfway there.
That
It's
was a
only
birthday
taken
present,
me-
right?
No, this was for Christmas.
Ah, okay.
It's only taken me 4 months to get this far.
Dude, nice.
Doug, since you like singing in the theater, why don't you sing us some Halfway There Living on a Prayer for Dave's amazing accomplishment in his House of M book?
Did you guys want to borrow it when I was done?
Oh,
Actually, I
got a lot
might, yes.
got a lot to get through myself. I actually, it was actually Haircut and Comic Day this past Wednesday, so I did pick up a couple of new books. I've been getting into the Rise of Kylo Ren books since the Vader series has ended.
Oh, the Legacy of Vader ones? The timer just went off, too.
Yep.
The first issue just dropped in Marvel Unlimited, so I'm going to check that out. I'm excited for it.
So far, it's good. It's not, in my opinion, it's not as good as the Vader series, but it is pretty good.
You know, it's funny because I'm kind of behind a bit on some of my Star Wars comics because they had like 3 different series about the Battle of Jakku.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to see how they have that all planned out. Might, have to do a little back issue breakdown on those bad boys if it's interesting enough that, it kind of lends to some Star Wars canon. But I haven't read them yet, but
I forgot to bring them down tonight, but I have a surprise to show you gentlemen. So I tell you what, I will bring them on screen Monday. They have a little bit more to do with Star Wars than they do The Last of Us, but that's okay. We're nerds. We'll talk some nerdy stuff.
we'll be talking about, Tales of the Underworld.
Oh, hey, yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, it'll fit, and it'll be May 5th,
All right.
The
Perfect.
Revenge of the Fifth. So, it's all good.
Excellent.
And everybody, before we miss it, May the 4th be with you tomorrow. Tomorrow. Not
I'm
today.
looking
The
forward
highest
to
of holy holidays.
That's right. Looking forward to getting up early and watching some Tales of the Underworld because both series so far, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, have been great. So let's hope that momentum continues with this and we get some quality shorts tomorrow. I guess I didn't go to check it out, but they're having a galactic thing in Fortnite, and you could see the first 2 episodes of Tales of the Underworld somewhere in Fortnite. I don't know how. I didn't care that much to find out, but
What is the connection? Does Disney own Fortnite or something? They've got a lot of Star Wars stuff in there. I remember back when Rise of Skywalker came out, the whole thing with Palpatine getting announced as that he was going to be in the movie, that was originally revealed in Fortnite. And why? Why do they keep doing Star Wars stuff in there?
They must have a deal like Lucasfilm and Disney with Fortnite to bring, because a lot of the Marvel characters show up. Like when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, you get Deadpool and Wolverine skins, and
Of course. Okay.
they had the whole Galactus thing in Fortnite, and they had Doom take over at one point. So I think it's just some deal that they have together between Disney and Fortnite.
I did see an ad for the whole Star Wars thing with Fortnite, and they showed Grievous, but he had like a stun baton thing. And it's like, really? You didn't give him his 6 lightsabers? What is wrong with you? It's
Doug,
cool and wrong.
Doug, if you remember when he was fighting with Anakin and Obi-Wan at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, he does pick up a stun baton when they take the lightsabers from his hand. Excuse me, Doug, that is
actually
canon.
me? Really? Okay, fine.
No, but
You
they
were
should have.
technically correct, and that is the best kind of correct. I concede.
They should have given him his lightsabers, though. Even Sully was, excited. He goes, "Dad, did you know General Grievous is in Fortnite?" I didn't. Thanks.
Dad, are you gonna play him? No.
Unfortunately, I will not be, Sullivan. I apologize. But Tundra Walker, I hope you were there for the 5 minutes of Gilbert Godfrey that you paid for. I don't know when you actually posted those things. I didn't have the chat from Twitch in focus at the time, but you did get your 5 minutes. We appreciate you being out there. And if you do, I know the game has started and the Tigers are down 1-0, but hopefully you're still kind of listening to us. But should we find someone to raid, gentlemen?
Yeah,
I think I just found a perfect person to raid.
Ooh, did you?
Miss Christelle D, who is playing Fortnite.
Fortnite. Wow. So I did see that. Is she French?
I don't know.
Hover over her name.
I think we've rated her before.
I think we have too. Maybe she's just Canadian.
Yeah, you're right. That's a tout le monde.
Oh yeah, all the chat is French too. All right.
Well, maybe we won't do that. They won't understand us.
But that's not a bad idea. We should find somebody that's playing Fortnite. Why not?
No, that's a good idea.
Fortnicians.
Let's see.
Star Wars Fortnite.
Yeah. Good idea. We should search that. Yeah. Oh, it looks like there's a couple people that are live playing it right now. There is somebody called ZX_Emerald with 13 viewers playing new Fortnite season Star Wars. Don't know anything about them, but what do you gentlemen think?
Hey, it sounds good to me. We were talking about it. That would be the best segue, talking about Star Wars Fortnite and then rating somebody. Could you give me their username again, please, sir?
I will do that. I'll put it in the Twitch chat.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Let me tell you, a segue is not always the best thing. The guy who invented the segue died on a segue.
Are you serious? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he fell off a cliff.
No!
Yeah.
He really did. That is true.
Oh, man. I guess that's why you don't see too many people riding Segways anymore.
Yeah.
Now,
for those
seemed a little iffy to me.
For those of you watching on YouTube, rating is something we do on Twitch where we send our viewers to another content creator, sharing the wealth, as you will. There is a way to do it on YouTube, but it's clunky and weird. And you have to know who's going to be live when we're done, and you never know that. So we don't do it. But if you're still here and you watched us and you like us, please do the YouTube thing. Subscribe, like, comment. Those actions are free to you and help our small YouTube channel out tremendously. And we will be back, as Doug mentioned a little while ago, Monday night. We'll be talking about The Last of Us, Episode 4, and we'll be going over the Tales of the Underworld from Star Wars Day. And if there's any other surprises going on or any other news bits that we get, we talk a lot of things where we like to talk about all things nerdy whenever we get a chance. But thanks so much for coming on. We'll be back Monday. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.